The night was supposed to be a celebration. The gala was an annual affair, filled with the city's elite, where we were the shining example of success and sophistication. But as I stood at the edge of the crowded ballroom, clutching a glass of champagne, I caught sight of her, Anna, my wife, draped in a stunning emerald gown, her laughter ringing out like a bell. I was about to approach her when I noticed the man beside her. He was a prominent financier, someone whose name was whispered in hushed, admiring tones at industry events. His hand lingered on her back, his gaze far too intimate. For a moment, I thought my eyes were deceiving me, but as I moved closer, every part of me felt like it was falling apart. The smile on Anna's face, the way she leaned in towards him, there was no mistaking it. They were not merely friends, they were crossing boundaries. I excused myself from the crowd, my mind racing. When I returned home that night, I barely slept. My thoughts were a whirlwind of betrayal and rage. I had to act swiftly, and with precision. I was determined not to let this man, this interloper, destroy the life we had built. The next morning, I made a call to my trusted contacts in the banking world. I needed to know everything about him, and I needed to know it fast. By the end of the week, I had a dossier on him. His name was Daniel Harcourt, and he was a rising star in a major financial firm. The more I learned, the more I saw an opportunity. Harcourt's reputation was built on a precarious balance of ambition and questionable ethics. I decided to use my connections to subtly undermine him. I started with whispers, carefully placed rumors about his dubious financial dealings, which began circulating in the industry circles. Meanwhile, I hired a private investigator to delve deeper into Harcourt's financial activities. It didn't take long for the detective to uncover several inconsistencies and shady transactions. It was a goldmine of evidence that could potentially bring him down. As weeks went by, the rumor mill was in full swing. And Harcourt's once stellar reputation began to crack. Anna's reactions were a mix of confusion and frustration. She sensed my growing distance and the tension that now filled our home. Despite her attempts to reach out, I remained detached, my focus solely on the mission. The more successful I was at dismantling Harcourt's public image, the more detached I felt from everything else. Then came the big break. The evidence gathered by the private investigator was leaked to the press. It was a meticulously crafted exposé on Harcourt's financial misdeeds. The scandal hit the headlines, and within days, his career unraveled. His once promising future was now marred by accusations and investigations. But victory came with its own cost. My colleagues and friends started to question my methods, and I faced mounting criticism for my underhanded tactics. The aftermath of the scandal took its toll on me, and my relationship with Anna reached a breaking point. Every conversation seemed to be laced with bitterness and unresolved anger. In the end, I was left to confront the reality of my actions. The damage had been done, both to Harcourt and to my marriage. The satisfaction of revenge felt hollow, and I began to question if it had all been worth it. The man I sought to destroy was now a cautionary tale, and I was left with the sobering task of rebuilding the fragments of my own life. The days following the gala were a blur of strategic maneuvers and sleepless nights. My every waking hour was consumed with devising new ways to dismantle Harcourt's career. The more I delved into his world, the clearer it became that I needed to be methodical. One slip, one misstep, and all my efforts could unravel. The whispers I had seeded in the financial circles began to take root. Harcourt's colleagues and industry insiders were increasingly wary of his integrity. I leveraged my connections to ensure that these doubts were amplified, making sure they reached the right ears. The press, always hungry for a scandal, was now poised to pounce. I kept my personal interactions with Anna to a minimum, unable to look at her without feeling a surge of anger. She tried to engage me in conversation, but I was distant and cold. Her attempts to bridge the growing chasm between us only seemed to deepen my resentment. During this time, the private investigator I hired continued to dig into Harcourt's financial dealings. He presented me with a damning collection of documents, revealing a network of questionable transactions and potentially illegal maneuvers. It was clear that Harcourt had been living on the edge of legality. I knew this was my chance to strike a decisive blow. With the evidence in hand, I contacted a few trusted journalists. I fed them just enough information to spark their curiosity without revealing my own hand. The first article appeared almost subtly, hinting at financial irregularities without naming names. It was enough to get the industry buzzing. The next piece was more direct, featuring allegations of embezzlement and insider trading, with Harcourt as the focal point. The media storm was starting to brew. Anna, sensing the shift in the air, grew increasingly frantic. She pleaded with me to talk, to explain what was happening. Her concern was palpable, but so was my determination. I brushed off her inquiries, my mind too focused on the impending collapse of Harcourt's empire. Then came the breaking point. An explosive article was published, detailing the full extent of Harcourt's alleged fraud. The financial community was in uproar. Shares in his firm plummeted, and regulatory bodies launched investigations. Harcourt's name was now synonymous with scandal. The walls were closing in on him, and I watched with a cold satisfaction as his carefully constructed world began to crumble. In the midst of the chaos, my own life was falling apart. The pressure and secrecy were taking their toll. Anna became a ghost in our home, a stark contrast to the vibrant woman I once knew. Our conversations, when they happened, were tinged with bitterness. She was hurt, and she had every right to be. But my focus remained unyielding. The fallout from the scandal was brutal. Harcourt was suspended from his position, and his reputation was irrevocably damaged. The investigations were relentless, and the financial world turned its back on him. He was no longer the rising star but a cautionary tale of ambition gone awry. As I watched his downfall, a gnawing unease settled in. I had succeeded in my revenge, but at what cost? My professional circles were fraught with murmurs of disapproval about my methods. Friends and associates who once admired me now viewed me with suspicion. My marriage was in tatters. Anna's trust was shattered, and our interactions were now strained and hollow. She had become a mere reflection of the life I had once cherished but now found so distant. The irony of it all was that while I had achieved my goal, the victory felt like a hollow triumph. The sense of justice I had sought seemed elusive, replaced by a stark realization that my actions had set off a chain of events that affected not just Harcourt but every aspect of my own life. The man I had worked so hard to bring down had, in a twisted way, also exposed the fragility of my own world. The weeks dragged on, and with each passing day, the consequences of my actions became increasingly apparent. Harcourt was now the subject of a full-blown investigation, his once prominent position reduced to a footnote in financial news. His career, and by extension his life, seemed to be in ruins. Yet, as much as I had succeeded in my revenge, the personal cost was becoming unbearable. Anna had retreated into herself. The house, once filled with laughter and warmth, now echoed with a cold silence. I caught her watching me with a look of profound sadness and confusion, but I couldn't bring myself to confront the pain I had caused her. I had been so focused on bringing down Harcourt that I had lost sight of the damage I was inflicting on my own life. One evening, as I sat in my study, poring over the latest updates on Harcourt's downfall, Anna came in. Her eyes were red from crying, and her voice trembled. She tried to speak, but her words were choked with emotion. "Nicholas," she began, "why are we doing this? What's left now? Is destroying him really worth everything we've lost?" Her question hit me harder than any of Harcourt's failures ever could. I had become so engrossed in my quest for vengeance that I had forgotten the fundamental purpose of it all, to protect what was important to me. But now, I was left with the wreckage of my marriage and a growing sense of regret. I tried to explain, though my words felt hollow. I told her about the betrayal I felt, the way Harcourt had wormed his way into our lives. I described the sense of justice I was trying to achieve, but Anna's eyes remained filled with a mixture of pain and disappointment. The next few days were a blur of strained attempts at normalcy and mounting tension. Anna and I no longer shared the easy conversations we once did. The trust between us had eroded to the point where even small gestures of affection felt like reminders of what we had lost. Meanwhile, Harcourt's situation worsened. The media had seized on the scandal, and every aspect of his life was laid bare for public scrutiny. His firm was under investigation, and his personal assets were being scrutinized. His once glorious career had turned into a cautionary tale for ambitious financiers. I watched from the sidelines, feeling a mix of satisfaction and sorrow. My actions had achieved their goal, but they had left a trail of destruction in their wake. I saw Harcourt's face on the news, and for a fleeting moment, I wondered if there was any part of me that had become like him, driven to ruin everything around me in the pursuit of personal justice. One night, As I lay in bed unable to sleep, I made a decision. The pursuit of revenge had consumed me, but it was clear that it had come at too high a price. I needed to confront the reality of my actions and find a way to repair the damage I had caused. The next morning, I reached out to Harcourt's former colleagues, offering what little assistance I could to help him deal with the fallout of the scandal. I knew it wouldn't undo the harm I had done, but perhaps it would provide some measure of redemption. I also sought counseling, both for myself and for my marriage. It was clear that I needed help to navigate the wreckage of my life and to rebuild the relationships I had fractured. As I took these steps, I felt a small but significant shift in the atmosphere at home. Anna's resistance softened, and though it was a slow and painful process, there were moments when we began to reconnect. The journey to repair our marriage would be long and arduous, but I was determined to face the consequences of my actions and to rebuild what had been lost. Harcourt's story was still unfolding, but my focus had shifted. The battle I had fought and won had left me with a greater challenge, mending the broken pieces of my own life and finding a way to move forward from the ashes of my vengeance. The weeks turned into months, and though the initial storm of the scandal had passed, the repercussions lingered. Harcourt's career was shattered, but the emotional toll on Anna and me was far from resolved. Our lives had been irrevocably altered, and the shadows of what had transpired continued to loom over us. The counseling sessions began to show some progress. I was forced to confront not only my actions but also the underlying issues in our marriage that had been simmering beneath the surface. Anna was equally determined to work through our problems, though each session revealed new layers of hurt and disappointment. One day, as I was going through a pile of documents in my office, I received a call from an old friend. He was in the financial industry and had kept a close eye on Harcourt's downfall. His voice was tinged with concern as he spoke. "Nicholas, I need to talk to you about something. It's important." We met over coffee, and he revealed that Harcourt was attempting to make a comeback. Despite the damage to his reputation, Harcourt was rallying support from some influential figures. His ambition wasn't entirely extinguished, and he was now seeking ways to redeem himself and rebuild his career. I felt a wave of conflicting emotions. On one hand, I was still haunted by the sense of justice I sought to achieve. On the other, there was a new sense of responsibility to consider. The repercussions of my actions had reached a point where they threatened to disrupt more lives than just Harcourt's and mine. I relayed the information to Anna, who listened intently. Her response was surprisingly measured. "You need to think about what this means for us. If Harcourt is trying to rebuild, do we want to keep contributing to his downfall, or is it time to let go and focus on our own recovery?" Her words struck a chord. The battle had consumed me to the point where I had lost sight of the broader picture. My obsession with Harcourt had overshadowed the healing process for both of us. I realized that continuing to antagonize him would only perpetuate the cycle of revenge and resentment. I decided to reach out to Harcourt. It wasn't a gesture of forgiveness, but rather an attempt to offer a degree of closure. I arranged a meeting, hoping to clear the air and, perhaps, to gain some personal resolution. When we met, Harcourt appeared worn but resolute. He didn't offer any excuses for his actions, but there was a sense of regret in his demeanor. "Nicholas," he said, "I've made mistakes, and I've paid for them. I understand why you did what you did, but I hope we can move past this. I'm trying to make amends." The conversation was difficult but enlightening. We both acknowledged the role we had played in this ongoing drama. There was no resolution to be had, but for the first time, there was an understanding that perhaps we both needed to move forward rather than dwell on the past. Back at home, Anna and I began to take tentative steps toward rebuilding our relationship. We started small, focusing on shared interests and trying to find moments of joy amid the lingering scars. It wasn't a quick fix, but there was a growing sense of collaboration in our efforts. As Harcourt worked on his redemption, I noticed a shift in my own outlook. The anger and desire for retribution were giving way to a more reflective stance. I had sought justice but found that true healing required more than just a victory over an adversary. It demanded a reckoning with my own choices and a commitment to moving forward. Our lives were still a work in progress, but I began to see the potential for renewal. The path to reconciliation, both with Anna and within myself, was fraught with challenges. But it was a path I was committed to following. I had learned that while vengeance might offer a fleeting satisfaction, The ultimate goal was to find peace and repair the fragments of a life that had been shattered by the pursuit of retribution. The decision to meet with Harcourt and attempt to mend the fractured pieces of my life had been a turning point. It had not only challenged my understanding of justice but also forced me to confront the reality of my actions and their broader impact. The process of rebuilding with Anna was slow, but I began to see small signs of progress. Anna and I decided to take a short trip together, hoping that a change of scenery might help us reconnect. We chose a quiet coastal town, far from the chaos of the city. The fresh air and the tranquil surroundings seemed to offer a reprieve from our daily struggles. We spent our days walking along the beach, talking about our past, and trying to envision a future beyond the shadows of recent events. One evening, as we watched the sunset, Anna turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Nicholas, do you ever think about what you want for us now? I mean, beyond fixing what's broken." Her question made me pause. I had been so focused on fixing the immediate problems and addressing the damage caused by the scandal that I hadn't considered what I truly wanted for our future. The idea of moving beyond the wreckage and envisioning a new chapter seemed both daunting and necessary. "I want us to heal," I said finally. "I want to move past the anger and regret and find a way to be happy again. But I also need to be honest about what I've learned through all of this." Anna nodded, her gaze still fixed on the horizon. "I think we both need to find forgiveness, for ourselves and for each other. It's not just about rebuilding what was lost but creating something new." Our discussions during the trip became more focused on our hopes and dreams rather than dwelling on past grievances. It wasn't an instant fix. But the process of being open with each other, of sharing our fears and desires, was a crucial step toward healing. When we returned home, I found myself reflecting more deeply on my actions. I realized that my quest for revenge had been a way to assert control over a situation that had made me feel powerless. But as the anger subsided, I understood that true resolution came from facing my own shortcomings and making amends. I reached out to some of my colleagues and friends to address the impact my actions had on them. I wanted to acknowledge the way my behavior had affected not just Harcourt, but also those around me. I apologized for the way I had conducted myself and explained my reasons, hoping to rebuild the trust that had been eroded. As I worked on repairing these relationships, I noticed a subtle shift in my own demeanor. The bitterness that had clouded my judgment began to lift. I found that I could approach my work with a renewed sense of purpose, one that was less about personal vindication and more about contributing positively to the community around me. Anna and I continued with our counseling sessions, but they became less about addressing crises and more about fostering growth. We set new goals for ourselves as a couple, focusing on activities and projects that brought us joy and satisfaction. It was clear that while the past couldn't be changed, we had the power to shape our future. Harcourt's efforts to redeem himself had not gone unnoticed. Although his career was still recovering, there were signs that he was making genuine progress. The financial community had begun to view him with a cautious optimism. He had accepted that rebuilding his reputation would be a long and arduous process, but he was committed to it. Seeing Harcourt's determination to start anew served as a reminder of the possibilities for transformation. It reinforced the idea that while our paths had crossed in painful ways, there was value in seeking redemption and growth, both for him and for me. In the end, I realized that the journey to move forward from the fallout of our past actions required more than just repairing relationships, it required a shift in perspective. The lessons learned from this ordeal were profound, and while the scars would remain, the goal was to find peace and create a future built on understanding, forgiveness, and resilience. The months after our coastal retreat brought a sense of cautious optimism. Anna and I continued to rebuild our relationship with a new understanding. The work was ongoing, but we were determined to move forward. As the year drew to a close, I found myself reflecting on the progress we had made and the lessons learned from the turmoil we had endured. Anna and I attended a charity event together, a small gesture to reconnect with the social circles we had once enjoyed. The evening was filled with familiar faces and polite conversations. It was a chance to reassert our presence and demonstrate that we were moving past the scandal. While the event was pleasant, it was also a stark reminder of how much had changed. The warmth and ease of our interactions felt distant, and the weight of the past still lingered. During the event, I encountered one of my old colleagues, a person I hadn't spoken to since the scandal had erupted. Our conversation began with pleasantries but quickly turned to more serious topics. "Nicholas," He said cautiously, "I've been meaning to talk to you about what happened. I know things have been difficult, but I wanted to offer my support." His words caught me off guard. I had expected to face judgment or cold indifference, but his offer of support was both unexpected and appreciated. We talked about the impact of the scandal, how it had affected not just my professional life but also the wider community. The conversation was a reminder of the broader consequences of my actions and the importance of addressing them. Back at home, I continued to work on mending relationships and rebuilding trust. I had taken steps to make amends, both publicly and privately. Apologies had been offered, and explanations had been given. Yet, the process of true reconciliation was more complex than I had anticipated. It involved ongoing efforts to demonstrate change and commitment to personal growth. Anna and I found solace in the small victories, moments of genuine connection and shared joy. We began to explore new hobbies together, ones that brought us closer and allowed us to enjoy each other's company in ways that were free from past conflicts. These activities became a source of healing, helping us rediscover the aspects of our relationship that had been overshadowed by recent events. The encounter with my colleague had sparked a renewed sense of responsibility. I began to consider how I could contribute positively to the community beyond repairing my own relationships. I involved myself in local initiatives and began mentoring young professionals in the financial sector. It was a way to channel my experiences into something constructive and to make a positive impact where I could. As the new year approached, I received a letter from Harcourt. It was a brief but heartfelt note acknowledging the journey he had been on and expressing a hope that, in time, there might be a chance for mutual understanding. His message was not one of seeking forgiveness but rather a gesture of goodwill. Recognizing the shared experience of navigating through difficult times. Reading his letter, I felt a mix of emotions. The conflict and bitterness of the past seemed to soften, replaced by a sense of closure. Harcourt's attempt at reaching out mirrored my own efforts to move forward, and it underscored the possibility of finding common ground even after profound disagreements. Anna and I decided to send a response, acknowledging his message and wishing him well in his ongoing efforts to rebuild his life. It was a small but meaningful step toward letting go of the animosity and embracing a more constructive path forward. As we entered the new year, there was a palpable shift in our lives. The sense of resolution and the progress we had made were not about erasing the past but about building something meaningful from it. The scars remained, but they were now markers of a journey that had brought us deeper understanding and a renewed commitment to each other and to the values we wanted to uphold. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with each step, we were creating a new narrative, one that was defined not by the conflicts of the past but by the resilience and growth that had emerged from them. The new year brought with it a sense of quiet stability. Anna and I had made significant strides in repairing our relationship and regaining a semblance of normalcy. We focused on the positives, our renewed connection, the small victories in our personal lives, and the steps I had taken to rebuild my professional reputation. Yet, beneath this calm surface, there was a lingering unease. Harcourt's presence, though less overt, still cast a shadow. It was in this context that I received an unexpected invitation. Harcourt had organized a charity gala aimed at supporting financial literacy programs for underprivileged youth. The event was an attempt to turn his life around by contributing to a cause he was passionate about. It was also, no doubt, an attempt to rebuild his tarnished reputation through positive action. I was conflicted. Attending would mean confronting the remnants of our turbulent past and acknowledging the complicated dynamics between us. However, I recognized that this was also an opportunity to demonstrate personal growth and to further the process of moving on. Anna and I discussed the invitation at length. It was clear that attending this event could serve as a gesture of goodwill and a chance to put our own healing into practice. We decided to go, understanding that it would be a significant step towards closure and possibly a new beginning. The night of the gala arrived, and we dressed with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The venue was elegantly decorated, and the atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. Harcourt, looking more composed than he had in months, greeted us as we arrived. His demeanor was respectful, and there was a subtle but genuine warmth in his approach. "Nicholas, Anna," he said, extending a hand. "Thank you for coming. Your presence means a lot." We exchanged pleasantries, and as the evening progressed, we observed the various ways Harcourt was trying to make amends. He spoke earnestly about the importance of financial education and the impact it could have on young lives. The sincerity in his words was palpable, and it was clear that he was committed to his new path. Throughout the event, I found myself reflecting on the complexities of redemption and forgiveness. Harcourt's efforts to contribute positively, despite the past conflicts, seemed to embody the very principles of change and growth that I had sought in my own life. There was something profound about seeing someone take tangible steps toward making amends. Anna and I had the opportunity to talk more with Harcourt during the evening. The conversation was more relaxed and less fraught with tension than it had been in the past. We spoke about our shared experiences and the lessons we had all learned. It was a reminder that while our paths had diverged dramatically, there were common threads of human experience that connected us. As the night drew to a close, Anna and I found ourselves in a reflective mood. The gala had provided a moment of clarity. It was not just about Harcourt's attempt at redemption but also about our own journey towards forgiveness and renewal. We had faced the ghosts of our past with dignity and emerged with a deeper understanding of what it meant to truly move forward. Driving home from the event, I turned to Anna. Tonight was more than I expected. It was a reminder that while the past can shape us, it doesn't have to define our future. Anna nodded, a thoughtful expression on her face. It was an important step. We've all made mistakes, but it's how we respond to them that matters. I'm proud of how far we've come. The night marked a turning point in our ongoing journey. The process of healing and rebuilding was far from complete, but attending the gala had reinforced the values of empathy, growth, and redemption. It was a step towards not only understanding the past but also forging a future where our actions were guided by a more profound sense of purpose and connection. The weeks following the gala brought a new rhythm to our lives. The sense of resolution from that night continued to ripple through my daily routines. Anna and I embraced the quiet stability that had settled over us. We focused on our personal growth and the ways we could continue to support each other, finding comfort in the routine that now felt like a promise of a more balanced life. One afternoon, while I was going through some old files in my office, I stumbled upon a letter from Harcourt's former firm. It was an official notice detailing the results of the internal investigation I had once hoped would bring him to his knees. The investigation had exonerated him of the most serious allegations, though it had left some lingering doubts about his past decisions. It was a stark reminder that the fallout of our actions wasn't as clear-cut as I had hoped. I decided to meet with Harcourt to discuss this new development. I reached out to him, and he agreed to meet at a quiet cafe, away from the prying eyes of the business world. As we sat across from each other, I could see the weariness in his eyes, a weariness that spoke of more than just the professional setbacks he had faced. "Nicholas," Harcourt began, "I've been meaning to thank you. Not for the ordeal, but for pushing me to confront my past. I've had to reevaluate a lot of things, and while it's been painful, it's also been enlightening." I listened, feeling a complex mix of emotions. Part of me wanted to rehash the past, to address every misstep and betrayal. But I could see that Harcourt was genuinely trying to move forward. He spoke of plans to focus on ethical financial practices and to use his experience to mentor others in avoiding similar pitfalls. "You're making strides," I said cautiously. "But there are still lingering questions about your past actions. The investigation didn't clear everything up, and some people still view you with skepticism." Harcourt nodded. "I understand. Trust is hard to rebuild. But I'm committed to proving that I've learned from my mistakes. It's not about erasing the past but about building a future that reflects what I've learned." The conversation was an acknowledgement of our shared journey. While I still grappled with the complexities of forgiveness and redemption, I could see that Harcourt's attempts to make amends were sincere. It was a small step towards understanding that the path to resolution was not about exacting perfect justice but about striving for personal integrity. As we wrapped up our meeting, Harcourt handed me a small, leather-bound notebook. "I keep a journal of my experiences and the lessons I've learned," he said. "I thought you might find it useful." I accepted the notebook, touched by the gesture. It was a symbol of the journey we had all been on, a journey marked by conflict, regret, and ultimately, a search for meaning. Back home, I showed the notebook to Anna. We read through it together, reflecting on the themes of personal responsibility and growth that Harcourt had documented. It was a sobering but inspiring read, offering insights into the difficult process of change. The notebook became a part of our own reflections, a reminder of the importance of confronting our past and embracing the lessons it offered. Anna and I continued our efforts to rebuild our relationship, and the themes from Harcourt's journal provided a framework for our ongoing discussions about forgiveness and renewal. In time, the scars from the conflict began to fade, replaced by a deeper understanding of the complexities of human nature. The notebook, along with our experiences, served as a testament to the journey we had undertaken, a journey that, though marred by pain and mistakes, had led us to a place of greater empathy and insight. The final chapter of this tumultuous period was not marked by a dramatic resolution but by the quiet acceptance of the imperfect but meaningful progress we had made. It was a reminder that life's most profound lessons often come from the most challenging experiences and that the ultimate goal was not to erase the past but to forge a path forward with integrity and hope. Life had gradually returned to a semblance of normalcy. Anna and I had found a rhythm that worked for us, one that embraced the lessons learned from our trials. The challenges we faced had reshaped our relationship and our outlook on life, leading us to focus on building a future grounded in resilience and understanding. One day, as I reviewed some of the initiatives I had been involved in, I received a call from an old colleague. He was a reporter who had covered the financial scandal extensively and was now working on a follow-up piece about the aftermath and the paths to redemption for those involved. He wanted my perspective on how the scandal had affected my life and what I had learned from the experience. I was initially hesitant. Speaking publicly about my experiences felt like reopening old wounds. However, I recognized that sharing my story could be an opportunity to highlight the importance of personal growth and the process of healing. After some reflection, I agreed to meet with him. The interview took place in a small, quiet office. As the reporter asked questions about the scandal and its impact, I found myself revisiting the emotional landscape of those tumultuous months. I spoke about the initial shock and anger, the drive for revenge, and the eventual realization that true resolution lay in personal accountability and moving forward. The reporter's questions also touched on my efforts to repair relationships and the ways in which the scandal had altered my perspective on trust and integrity. "What do you hope people will take away from your story?" he asked. I paused, considering the weight of the question. "I hope people understand that redemption is a journey, not an event. It's about confronting the mistakes we've made, taking responsibility for them, and striving to be better. It's not always about achieving perfect justice but about finding a path to personal growth and making amends where we can." The reporter nodded, clearly moved by the response. As the interview wrapped up, I felt a mix of relief and vulnerability. Speaking openly about my experiences had been cathartic, but it also brought back memories of the conflict and pain. After the interview, I returned home to find Anna waiting for me. She had been supportive throughout the process, and her presence was a comforting reminder of the progress we had made together. We talked about the interview and the reflections it had sparked. "That was brave of you," Anna said. "It's not easy to revisit those memories, but sharing your story could help others who are facing similar challenges." Her words were reassuring. It was clear that while our journey had been fraught with difficulties, it had also led us to a place where we could confront our past with honesty and hope. In the weeks that followed, the article was published. It was a nuanced account that explored the broader implications of the scandal and the personal journeys of those involved. The piece was well received, and it sparked discussions about the nature of redemption and the importance of personal responsibility. Reading the article, I was struck by how far we had come. The focus was no longer solely on the scandal itself but on the lessons learned and the potential for growth. It was a reminder that even the most painful experiences could lead to positive change if approached with honesty and reflection. As I looked back on the journey, I realized that the ultimate goal was not to erase the past but to use it as a foundation for a more meaningful future. The scars of the conflict remained, but they had become a part of a larger narrative, one that included forgiveness, personal growth, and the pursuit of integrity. Anna and I continued to build our life together, drawing strength from the lessons we had learned. We focused on the present and the future, using our experiences to guide our decisions and interactions. The process of healing was ongoing, but it was marked by a deepened understanding of ourselves and each other. The story of our journey became a testament to the complexities of human experience and the power of resilience. It was a reminder that while the past could shape us, it was our response to it that ultimately defined our path forward. Time continued to heal the wounds left by the scandal, though its scars remained as reminders of the journey we had undertaken. Anna and I had settled into a routine that felt more grounded and purposeful. Our lives had taken on a new direction, one that embraced growth and understanding. One crisp autumn morning, I found myself reflecting on how far we had come. The bitterness of the past had transformed into a sense of resolve. I had begun to see the value in using my experiences to help others navigate similar challenges. The work I did with young professionals and local community groups became a source of personal fulfillment. It was a way to give back and to channel the lessons learned from the scandal into something positive. Anna was also deeply involved in her own initiatives. She had started a project aimed at supporting women in finance, providing mentorship and guidance to those facing obstacles in their careers. It was a cause she was passionate about, and it gave her a renewed sense of purpose. Watching her grow and thrive in her own way was a testament to her resilience and strength. One afternoon, as we walked through the park near our home, Anna turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Nicholas, do you ever think about how different our lives would be if none of this had happened?" Her question took me by surprise. It was a thought I had occasionally entertained but had never fully explored. "I've wondered about it," I admitted. "But I think the truth is that we can't undo what's happened. What we can do is make the most of the opportunities we have now." Anna nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "I agree. The past has shaped us, but it doesn't have to define us. We've learned so much, and we're using those lessons to create something meaningful." Our conversation shifted to the future and the possibilities it held. We discussed our plans for the coming year, the goals we wanted to achieve, and the ways we could continue to support each other. It was clear that our experiences had strengthened our bond and given us a deeper appreciation for the life we were building together. As the months passed, we continued to see positive changes in our lives. The work I did in the community led to new connections and opportunities. I was invited to speak at conferences and seminars, sharing my experiences and offering insights on overcoming challenges and rebuilding trust. It was a chance to contribute to a larger conversation about integrity and personal growth. Anna's project flourished as well. She organized workshops and networking events, creating a platform for women to share their experiences and support one another. The impact of her work was evident in the growing number of success stories from those she had mentored. One evening, as we reflected on the year's accomplishments, Anna and I felt a sense of contentment. The journey had been arduous, but it had brought us to a place where we could look back with pride and forward with hope. We had faced the darkness of our past and emerged with a renewed sense of purpose. Our lives were not perfect, and the scars of the past remained. But we had learned that the ultimate goal was not to erase those scars but to use them as a foundation for a more meaningful future. The lessons we had learned and the growth we had experienced were invaluable. As we prepared to enter a new chapter in our lives, we did so with a deep appreciation for the journey that had brought us to this point. We were committed to continuing our efforts to make a positive impact, to support each other, and to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. In the end, the story of our journey was not just about the conflict and the resolution but about the strength and resilience that had emerged from it. It was a testament to the power of growth, forgiveness, and the unwavering pursuit of a better future. The end of the year approached with a quiet resolve. Anna and I had found our footing, our lives marked by a balance of reflection and forward momentum. The challenges of the past seemed distant, though their lessons remained firmly etched in our minds. One crisp December evening, we hosted a small gathering at our home. It was a celebration of the progress we had made and a chance to share our gratitude with those who had supported us through our journey. The guest list included friends, mentors, and a few colleagues who had been part of our efforts to rebuild and move forward. As the evening unfolded, I found myself reflecting on the path that had brought us to this moment. Conversations flowed easily, filled with laughter and shared stories. It was a stark contrast to the tense, strained gatherings of the past. The atmosphere was warm and genuine, a testament to the strength of the relationships we had rebuilt. During the evening, I took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. The December night was clear and crisp, the stars shining brightly against the dark sky. As I stood there, I thought about the journey Anna and I had undertaken. It had been marked by pain and conflict but had ultimately led to a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other. Anna joined me outside, sensing my introspection. She stood beside me, her presence a comforting reminder of the partnership we had forged through adversity. "It's been quite a year," she said softly. I nodded, looking out at the night sky. "It has. And it's amazing to see how far we've come. We've faced so much, but we've also grown in ways I never imagined." We talked about our hopes for the future and the dreams we still wanted to pursue. Our conversation was filled with optimism and determination. We spoke of new projects and adventures, of continuing to build on the foundation we had established. As we returned inside, I was struck by the sense of peace that had settled over the gathering. The struggles of the past were no longer at the forefront of our lives. Instead, we were focused on the present and the possibilities that lay ahead. It was a celebration not just of the progress we had made but of the resilience and strength that had carried us through. The evening concluded with heartfelt toasts and expressions of gratitude. We thanked our guests for their support and shared our appreciation for the role they had played in our journey. The sense of community and connection was palpable, a reflection of the positive changes that had emerged from our trials. As the last of the guests departed and the house fell into a tranquil silence, Anna and I took a moment to reflect on the night. We felt a profound sense of accomplishment and contentment. The scars of the past were still there, but they had become a part of our story, a story marked by growth, forgiveness, and the pursuit of a better future. In the quiet of our home, we looked forward to the new year with a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges we had faced had shaped us, but they had also taught us valuable lessons about resilience and hope. We were ready to embrace the opportunities that lay ahead and to continue building a life grounded in integrity and understanding. The journey we had undertaken was far from over, but we were confident in our ability to face whatever came next. The ultimate goal was not to erase the past but to use it as a guide for a more meaningful and fulfilling future. And as we prepared to step into the new year, we did so with a deep appreciation for the path we had walked and the strength we had found along the way. The new year began with a palpable sense of renewal. Anna and I had resolved to carry forward the lessons we had learned and to build on the stability we had achieved. We embraced the opportunities that lay ahead with a blend of cautious optimism and steadfast determination. One brisk January morning, I received an unexpected email from an old friend, David, who was now an executive at a prominent investment firm. The email was an invitation to collaborate on a project aimed at developing ethical financial practices and fostering transparency in the industry. David knew about the challenges I had faced and the work I had done since then. He thought my insights would be valuable for this initiative. The proposal intrigued me. It was a chance to contribute to something meaningful and to apply the lessons I had learned in a way that could impact the broader financial community. After discussing it with Anna, who encouraged me to seize the opportunity, I decided to meet with David to learn more about the project. Our meeting was set in a sleek office overlooking the city. David greeted me warmly, and we quickly fell into a conversation about the project's goals. The initiative aimed to create a framework for ethical decision-making and to provide resources for professionals navigating the complex landscape of finance. It was an ambitious project, and David believed it had the potential to effect real change in the industry. As we talked, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. This project aligned with my own values and experiences, offering a way to channel my knowledge into something constructive. David was enthusiastic about the potential collaboration, and his vision for the project resonated with me. Over the next few months, I became deeply involved in the initiative. We held workshops, developed guidelines, and engaged with industry leaders to gather feedback and support. The work was both challenging and rewarding. It required me to draw on my past experiences while also focusing on future possibilities. Throughout this period, Anna remained a steadfast supporter. She continued to thrive in her own endeavors, balancing her project with our shared goals. Her enthusiasm for her work was infectious, and it inspired me to approach our collaborative project with the same level of commitment. One afternoon, as we reviewed progress on the ethical practices framework, David and I discussed the impact of our work. "This isn't just about creating guidelines," he said. "It's about shifting the culture of the industry. We want to inspire a new generation of professionals to prioritize integrity." I nodded in agreement, and it's about showing that change is possible, even after facing significant challenges. Our own experiences can serve as a testament to that. As the project gained traction, it began to attract attention from various media outlets and industry publications. The discussions surrounding it were hopeful and optimistic, reflecting a growing interest in ethical practices and transparency. The positive feedback was gratifying and validated the effort we had put into the initiative. In the midst of this success, I took a moment to reflect on how far Anna and I had come. The journey from the initial conflict to this point had been fraught with difficulties, but it had also been marked by profound growth. The Ethical Practices Project was a symbol of that transformation, a way to use our experiences to contribute positively to the world around us. As the year progressed, the project continued to evolve, and its impact became increasingly evident. It was clear that our efforts were making a difference, and that realization was both humbling and empowering. Anna and I celebrated our achievements, not just for what we had accomplished but for the journey that had brought us here. We knew that the challenges of the past had shaped us, but they had also led us to a place where we could embrace new opportunities with a sense of purpose and resolve. The new year held promise and potential, and we were ready to face it with the same determination and hope that had guided us through our past trials. The Ethical Practices Project was just one part of our ongoing journey, but it represented the values we had come to hold dear: integrity, growth, and the pursuit of a better future. As spring arrived, the project on ethical financial practices continued to gain momentum. The framework we had developed was beginning to be adopted by several firms. And the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. It was clear that our work was having a tangible impact on the industry, and that realization was deeply satisfying. Amidst this professional success, life at home remained steady and fulfilling. Anna and I enjoyed a renewed sense of balance and connection. Our weekends were filled with simple pleasures, long walks, cooking together, and quiet evenings spent reflecting on our journey. These moments of tranquility were a stark contrast to the turbulence we had faced. And they provided a grounding sense of normalcy. One afternoon, as we were planning a weekend getaway to celebrate our progress, Anna received a call from her project team. There was an opportunity to present her work at an international conference on women in finance. The invitation was a significant recognition of her efforts and a chance to share her insights on a global stage. Anna was thrilled but also anxious about the prospect of speaking to such a large and diverse audience. I could see the mix of excitement and apprehension in her eyes. "This is a big deal," she said. "I want to make sure I'm prepared and that I convey everything effectively." I reassured her that she was more than capable. "You've done incredible work, and you have a unique perspective to offer. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. Your passion and dedication will come through." In the weeks leading up to the conference, Anna devoted herself to preparing her presentation. She practiced tirelessly, refining her message and ensuring that her talk would be both informative and inspiring. I supported her in any way I could, providing feedback and helping her rehearse. The day of the conference arrived, and we traveled to the venue together. The scale of the event was impressive, with participants from around the world gathering to discuss and promote advancements in women's roles in finance. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with energy and anticipation. When it was Anna's turn to speak, I watched with pride as she took the stage. Her presentation was compelling, blending personal anecdotes with professional insights. She spoke passionately about the challenges women face in the industry and the importance of creating supportive networks and opportunities for growth. As she concluded her talk, the room erupted in applause. Anna's performance was met with enthusiastic responses and meaningful connections with other professionals in the field. The recognition she received was well-deserved and reflected the impact of her work. Returning home, Anna was energized and inspired by the experience. She was excited about the new opportunities that had arisen from the conference and eager to continue her advocacy for women in finance. The conference had not only validated her efforts but had also opened doors to new collaborations and projects. For me, witnessing Anna's success was a profound reminder of the strength and resilience we had developed together. Her achievements were a testament to her hard work and determination, and they also symbolized the positive changes we had both experienced in our personal and professional lives. As we settled back into our routine, we took time to reflect on our journey. The past had been marked by significant challenges, but it had also led us to a place of growth and fulfillment. The Ethical Practices Project and Anna's success were milestones in our ongoing journey, highlighting the transformative power of perseverance and dedication. We embraced the future with optimism, ready to face new challenges and opportunities with the same resolve that had guided us through our past struggles. The ultimate goal was not just to overcome obstacles but to use our experiences to contribute positively to the world around us. And as we looked forward to the next chapter of our lives, we did so with a deep appreciation for the strength and unity that had brought us this far. The summer was approaching, bringing with it a sense of renewed energy and anticipation. Anna and I had settled into a comfortable rhythm, balancing our professional achievements with our personal lives. The impact of the Ethical Practices Project was steadily growing, and Anna's international recognition had opened new avenues for her work. We felt a sense of accomplishment and looked forward to what lay ahead. One sunny afternoon, we decided to take a break from our busy schedules and visit a nearby vineyard. The idea was to relax and enjoy each other's company in a setting that was both tranquil and refreshing. The vineyard offered a serene escape from the demands of our everyday lives, and we relished the opportunity to unwind. As we strolled through the lush rows of grapevines, Anna and I talked about our plans for the future. The conversation naturally turned to the possibility of expanding our professional endeavors and exploring new projects. It was a topic that excited both of us, and our ideas flowed freely. "I've been thinking about how we could integrate our work into a broader initiative," Anna said. "Something that combines our efforts and leverages our experiences in a way that has a more significant impact." I nodded, intrigued by the idea. "That sounds promising. What do you have in mind?" Anna explained her vision for a joint venture that would focus on promoting ethical practices and supporting professional development for women and minorities in finance. It would be a comprehensive platform that offered resources, mentorship, and advocacy. The goal was to create a lasting legacy that built on the work we had already done. The idea resonated deeply with me. It was an opportunity to bring together our expertise and passions into a cohesive project that could make a meaningful difference. We spent the rest of the afternoon brainstorming and refining the concept, energized by the possibilities. When we returned home, we began to outline our plans in more detail. We identified key areas of focus, potential partners, and the steps needed to bring the initiative to fruition. It was clear that the project would require significant effort and collaboration, but we were both committed to making it a reality. In the following weeks, we began reaching out to potential partners and stakeholders. We connected with industry leaders, nonprofit organizations, and other professionals who shared our vision. The response was encouraging, and we started to build a network of support for our initiative. As we worked on developing the platform, we encountered various challenges. Coordinating with partners, securing funding, and navigating the complexities of the project required careful planning and persistence. There were moments of uncertainty and difficulty, but our shared commitment and dedication kept us moving forward. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Anna and I sat down to review our progress. We reflected on the obstacles we had overcome and the progress we had made. Despite the challenges, we were both optimistic about the potential impact of our project. "We've come a long way," Anna said, her voice filled with determination. "It hasn't always been easy, but we've managed to keep moving forward. I believe in what we're building, and I'm excited about the future." Her words were a reminder of why we had embarked on this journey. The project was not just about professional success but about creating something that could contribute positively to the industry and the broader community. It was a reflection of our values and our commitment to making a difference. As summer continued, we remained focused on our goals, driven by a shared vision of creating a lasting impact. The project was shaping up to be a significant part of our lives, and we were determined to see it through. Our journey had been marked by challenges and growth, but it had also brought us closer together. The work we were doing was a testament to our resilience and our dedication to making a meaningful contribution. And as we looked forward to the next stages of our initiative, we did so with a sense of purpose and optimism, ready to face whatever came next with the same determination that had guided us through the past. The project had now reached a crucial stage. After months of planning, networking, and development, we were ready to launch our initiative. The platform aimed at promoting ethical financial practices and supporting the professional growth of women and minorities was on the verge of becoming a reality. Anna and I had put in countless hours of work, and the dedication had paid off. We had assembled a talented team, secured funding, and built a network of partners eager to support our mission. The anticipation was palpable as we approached the launch event. The evening of the launch was a blend of excitement and nervous energy. The venue was a spacious hall filled with industry leaders, supporters, and members of the media. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as guests mingled and discussed the upcoming presentation. Anna and I took a moment to reflect on our journey. The event was not just a celebration but a culmination of our efforts and a testament to the challenges we had overcome. Standing together, we were reminded of how far we had come and how much this project meant to both of us. When it was time for the presentation, we took the stage together. Anna spoke first, articulating our vision with clarity and passion. She shared the stories of the women and minorities who had inspired our work and outlined the key features of our platform. Her words resonated deeply with the audience, reflecting the commitment and heart behind the initiative. After Anna's presentation, I took the floor to discuss the impact we hoped to achieve. I highlighted the importance of ethical practices in finance and the need for ongoing support and mentorship. The response from the audience was enthusiastic, with many expressing their support and excitement about the project. As the evening progressed, the launch event was filled with lively discussions and networking opportunities. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and the support from industry professionals and advocates was encouraging. It was clear that our project had struck a chord and that it had the potential to make a significant impact. In the days following the launch, we began to see the results of our efforts. The platform was gaining traction, with a growing number of users and partners joining the cause. The response from the community was heartening, and the initial success was a promising sign of what lay ahead. Anna and I took time to celebrate our achievements and to appreciate the milestones we had reached. We also recognized that the work was far from over. The launch was just the beginning of a long-term effort to drive meaningful change in the industry. Reflecting on our journey, we were struck by the sense of fulfillment that came from seeing our vision come to life. The challenges we had faced had tested our resolve, but they had also strengthened our commitment to our goals. The project was not just a professional success but a personal triumph, symbolizing the growth and resilience we had experienced together. As we moved forward, we remained focused on our mission and determined to continue making a difference. The project was a testament to our shared vision and dedication, and it was clear that the impact would extend far beyond the initial launch. Our experiences had taught us the value of perseverance and collaboration. We had turned our challenges into opportunities and had built something meaningful from the lessons learned. The journey was ongoing, and we were ready to embrace the future with the same passion and commitment that had guided us through the past. The ultimate goal was to continue driving positive change and to support others in their own journeys. The platform was a reflection of our values and our belief in the power of ethical practices and professional growth. And as we looked to the future, we did so with a sense of pride and anticipation, eager to see the impact our work would continue to make.